We just got ourselves some very bad news. Take a look at this.
Hey, Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Rick. How about you?
Good. I just wanted to know what your feelings are on 𝗓𝗓𝗓, CLSK.
If you like Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. That has always been my view. And for a while, I liked it. And then, I decided, well, you know what? The money's been made. But I was premature before. When you make a lot of money, that's something to look back. Let's go to John in Texas.
So, usually whenever this guy gets bullish or says something exciting about crypto, things just do absolutely crazy bad. Wanted to quickly prepare you guys for that. But anyway, first and foremost, we had ourselves a massive KyberSwap exploit today. It's actually been a week full of exploits, it seems. I think this one was worth about $50 million worth. And if you're interested in more of the details as to what happened and how they were able to steal such significant amounts of money, obviously I'm not telling you this to, get you to steal money. I'm just saying, hey, if you're interested exactly how this happened, this thread is pretty extensive, and so you can just quickly pause it if you'd like. The long story short, though, is that the guy, through some very interesting manipulation of prices, was, instead of just selling to himself, able to basically come across an infinite money glitch. The first swap is the exploiter selling 1,000 wrapped staked Ethereum for 0.0157 ETH, pushing the price down, and the opposite is the exploiter buying 3,911 wrapped staked ETH from the pool for 0.06 ETH, pushing the price of the pool back up to whatever this price is, and that's it. That's basically the entire exploit. And again, there's a lot of issues here. There's a lot of criticism. But the thing is, it's very easy to say all this stuff in hindsight with, hey, shouldn't this have been different? Shouldn't that have been different? Many people are saying this is yet another insider attack. And at the end of the day, it is possible. All right, we're not going to know for sure whether or not this was they themselves messing with, or somebody inside KyberSwap, potentially that wrote it, messing with their own parameters. Because some people always like to argue that, well, a lot of easy fixes are left in case at some point you want to exit scam. They have audits, they've got people going over it. But again, if you're going over so many lines of code, there's a very good chance, I'm going to say there's a 99.9% certainty you're going to miss something. But the thing is, if you miss it, most of the time, exploiters and hackers miss it too. But if you're carefully analyzing every single detail, there's a chance you find something, which again is why exploits happen. Most of these protocols think they're completely safe, but they always know that there's people lurking, people trying, and at the end of the day, your code is only as good as your own knowledge, in the sense that if somebody's so much better at this game, even though you thought it was bulletproof, this guy might be able to put some armor penetration on there and still be able to crack it. And for the most part, this stuff is too difficult to get into, and I'd say for the most part it does not matter. But it's just another lesson of, even if they're so huge, even if they're so nice, bad things can happen, and we will never know if it was an inside job or just a very unlucky situation. Anyway, some two interesting things happened as well. Before that, just quickly, this guy is putting up some funny messages. He, for the first part, said, hey, we'll start negotiations in a few hours after I'm rested. He also had some interesting additional words, but let's skip those. Anyway, one of those things that was interesting that happened just now was somebody accidentally paying a 83 Bitcoin or $3.1 million fee for a Bitcoin transaction. I guess you call that the future of finance, huh? So the sending wallet had 150 Bitcoin inside. The receiver only got 50. Oh no, 55 Bitcoin. To be honest with you, if I made a mistake like this, I'd probably punch my head into a brick wall. I don't know what else is better that you could do, because there's no help desk. There's no way to get your money back after this has happened. You're done. Which is unfortunate and unlucky, but hey. Yeah, this is basically how I'd be too, man. Just imagine you stacking your entire life, finally getting $3-4 million, and then you accidentally waste $1 million and a bit on fees. Not just sending it to the wrong person. No. You're directly giving it to miners. So I guess in that sense, you might say, hey, Bitcoin made me all this money. I want to thank the miners for doing their jobs. But this is just absolutely crazy. Anyway, to continue on, this was pretty interesting. An email from Mt. Gox's bankruptcy trustee stated that the trustee plans to start repaying creditors soon and is working to start repaying them in cash in 2023 and will continue into 2024. Now, I'm going to straight off the bat say, whatever numbers we're talking about here, it says that the accuracy of the email cannot be confirmed at this time, and no relevant official statement has been found. And back in March, the block reported that Mt. Gox's early repayments would start from March 10th, so a couple months in. And just because it has some Japanese doesn't mean it's it's real, you know? Perhaps these guys are trying to dump the markets, because you've got to understand, Mt. Gox has a ton of Bitcoin, or are able to give back to people a ton of Bitcoin through the government. And if all these billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin get sent back to the people, right? $5 billion worth here, 137,000 of them. Well, since those guys lost their Bitcoin when it got hacked back in 2013-ish, yeah, a lot of these guys are definitely going to sell, because you can understand, if you lost money, right, with each unit being worth $500, and now you getting the money back as it's worth like 80 times as much. Yeah, you know, you thought you're never going to get it back, but now you've got 80 times as much. A lot of people are not going to be greedy. I'm thinking two sides. On the one hand, a lot of people are going to wing it because they never thought to see that money again, so they want to get it even crazier. But you got to understand, an 80x return on your money, especially money you never thought you're going to get back, it ain't bad. And so we're expecting, it's not sure, but we're expecting some massive sell-offs the moment that these people get their Bitcoin back. From another perspective, these are early hodlers, right? So they know the tech. They might be very happy to get their coins and are just going to remain hodlers. But the thing is, you just never know. And like this guy says right here, it could be that these are just articles, just emails that are faked. And this person here says they're only getting a part of it though, actually, 16 to 20%, and almost nobody will sell, which I highly doubt. This guy claims, well, they all bought before $800 anyway, average of $250 or less, and they're getting some Bitcoin Cash. Fun fact, I still have Bitcoin Cash to claim a couple years ago. And this is the interesting thing about hard forks, for all of you that do not know. When Bitcoin, there was a little war about which was the true vision of Bitcoin. Eventually got Bitcoin Cash and so many other Bitcoins, but the two most prominent ones are Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. And what basically happened was, if you held one Bitcoin, you also got yourself one Bitcoin Cash. And the price of that went pretty crazy, but of course you had to claim it in some way, shape, or form if you were not keeping your Bitcoin on exchanges. But if you think about it, to claim tokens, you've got to prove ownership. But to prove ownership, you've got to basically, as far as I'm aware, right? And I'm still a newbie at all these things, I will admit. But basically, get your private key somewhere, right? Or how otherwise do you claim it? Anyway, I never did. I might at some point if it's not too late. Because honestly, it was just too sketchy. And again, we're talking about 7 years ago or something like that. Time flies, holy smoke. Damn, I'm getting old, man. What? Feels like it was like last month, but it's like 7 years ago. And that's why I love the airdrops that we're seeing nowadays, and why for very often these airdrops, I just put money on exchanges slightly before they happen because they can take care of it. But it also depends on what network it's on. For example, with the XRP Ledger, yeah, definitely no need to put it on exchange because it's very simple. With Ethereum, thus far, everything's been pretty simple. With Bitcoin, though, yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't my style, I guess. But those happen. Hard forks, by the way, happen all the time. The thing is that most of the time they don't get that much traction, though. Let's say, for example, we, as a community, decide the way that XRP is being governed right now, we don't like it, right? But in theory, the governance has to decide for this to be the next main thing. What I mean is, any person can theoretically speak and say, and go ahead and split it into two. Or basically chain off, split off, fork out of whatever the main way of going is right now. Matter of fact, a lot of popular platforms that you know are some sort of spin-off of Ethereum, which means you've got Ethereum as the base, and then you split out, you mostly use whatever they were using with some differences. But with XRP specifically, if the community decided they wanted to kick Ripple out, it would be possible. But it still need the majority of the people to agree with it for people to actually start using the other network over this one. But you could. All right, it's all just about traction in the sense that Bitcoin Cash is the same as Bitcoin for the most part, right? but it's now got different governance in the sense that there's different people working on Bitcoin Cash rather than Bitcoin, and there's different people making decisions and all those stuff. But in theory, that could have been the real new Bitcoin. It could have been the number one if majority of people agreed with it, but as we obviously know now, people didn't. They thought Bitcoin the way it is right now is the way to go, and they didn't like the spinoff, but it could have definitely been so that the spinoff was the next big thing, and Bitcoin would basically now just become the quote-unquote obsolete one. Because if you split up, it's hard to know which one is the good one. You just have to make a decision on, I guess, the different proposals and points. Anyway, but Bitcoin won, as you know. Some people still don't agree with it though. They think that Bitcoin Cash or even Bitcoin SV is the real Bitcoin, but back then it was way more prominent of a thing. Just one more thing I'll quickly say before we move on to some other interesting news is people often ask me, Dusty, why do you talk about your investments so much? And what I'm showing you here, none of these things I've invested into, but the reason I do it, I just saw some claim about this, I think an hour or so ago, which is why I'm addressing it now, is not because I'm getting paid. If I get paid, as I said before, you'll see a little disclosed thingy in the top left that it's a paid promotion. It's because I've explained my investment philosophy many times on this channel, and even though I don't claim to be a financial advisor, I know this game, and I've said many times before, I'll not be perfect, and I don't want to be. In my opinion, it's all about what makes you money in the end. Depending on if you're only looking at fundamentals, you know, some people might just only want to buy into things that are perfectly ethical and aligned with their choices, aligned with their blah, 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 blah. Some people don't care about anything, they just want to make money. I'd say I'm somewhere in the middle where if it's absolute dog shit, I most likely won't touch it because I wouldn't trust it. But if I knew they weren't going to exit scam for sure, but it's just pretty garbage, but the marketing is on point, this, that, they've got everything set, I'd probably still throw money at it. Why? Because if you have placed as many investments as I have, if you've been playing this game as long as I have, you understand what works, you understand what doesn't work. And I'll once more say, I'm not saying I'll be right 100% of the time. No, I'll be wrong most of the time, but I'll be right 50 times more than the average Joe, because it is quite hard. Let's say you see 100 new investment opportunities every single day. Which ones do you go for? Because you just can't have them all. Because if you do that, you might end up actually losing. So you choose the best of the best, and as the bull market continues on, I'll explain more strategies about how to find the best. But a little simple note is, you see a paradigm, you see a Sequoia, you see big funds, you want to put money into it, very often you're not allowed to, or it's very hard. The opposite side being the gains are sometimes less if big funds invest, because obviously they want bigger ticket sizes, meaning if you've got some smaller VCs, but even guys like Polygon or the guys at BNB, they still take moderate amounts, and these massive spearheads like a Sequoia, they obviously want so many millions, or the guys at 𝗂16𝘂. But I've said before, if exchanges are backing it, it almost always is worth trying out, and that's mostly because if it's going to get an exchange listing, usually the return is going to be pretty okay, because they do not want to list a coin that only goes down. Usually the market making at least is set, and usually in the process they also pay for some promotion by the exchange, which is nice. But we'll cover that more in depth as time goes on. The market gets more bullish and more projects show itself. Right now, you might think that there's many projects on the market. There's so much stuff to choose from, but I'll tell you right now that if you think this is a lot, you're going to be surprised over the next year or so, because the amount of supply of projects is not really that crazy. Normally, if I look at my comments section, I'll see, let's say 200, 300 comments of garbage, and then a couple good ones. But just all these people selling their crazy token. Right now, for the most part, the things that people are sharing are pretty solid things. People like to ask questions about projects that have proper fundamentals or are proper in size. But that's going to change hard as more newbies come in. If you're watching this video right now, chances are, I'm going to say 99% of you guys are not newbies. This is not the first crypto video you're watching. This is not your first day thinking about crypto. But as the market continues on, there's going to be so many of those. So, summarize, Dusty, why do you talk about investments? First off, I think you can learn from them. Second of all, I like to be open. Third of all, because this is what I do. I place investments, and I like to, I guess, share my excitement in that sense. And because I'm a freaking beast, and you'll see how right I am soon. You have to realize, I gotta prove a lot of people something. Every now and then I see people say, Dusty, why are you lying to these people? You cannot make $100 million off of a couple $1,000s. And I just wanna kind of put a track record down here on YouTube so you guys realize that any person saying that has just not made good money. They just don't know. And ignorance is bliss in some ways, but it can also be rather annoying because some people take it as truth. You can absolutely make crazy amounts of money even if you're starting with little. I am not selling you anything. There's nothing you can buy from me. There's nothing you can give me right now. I'm not asking you for anything. I'm just telling you the cold, hard truth. And I tell you the same story every single time. If you don't know people who have made hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars, Don't start talking about what people can and cannot do. It's pointless at that point. Same thing. If you've not made millions of dollars off of a crypto or off any investment in that sense, if you've never been part of a venture capital firm, if you've not placed more than, let's say, 300 different investments, don't talk about what people can and cannot do in this realm, obviously, because just because you've not experienced it doesn't mean it's not possible. And the reason I always am such a big advocate of telling people that the amount of gains are pretty crazy in this stuff, and people might call me overly optimistic, is because, again, if you've been in the space for a good while, you just understand that really every single time crypto blows everybody's expectations, and the gains that you can make are pretty much out of control. It's all up to you. There's nobody that can limit your success. And again, you will hear soon enough stories of people turning nothing into billions of dollars. It could be a 16-year-old kid, and I'm going to tell you right now, those people are not necessarily special. They have not got some wizardly gift. Right place, right time, and potentially just a motherfucking amount of dedication. And even though I'm busy with this every single day, I'm not trying to tell you that I'll find all the best investments. I'm going to miss a lot of them. And a lot of them you're not allowed to get into, in the sense that if you've not got the right, I'm going to say connection, it's very hard to buy them early. It's very hard to be involved to potentially get yourself a juicy airdrop, or you hear about it a couple days too late, because at some point you're going to have to hear from somebody that the project you should get into exists. And very often it's going to be too late, or you didn't trust it, or you had to split your money in too many different ways. I'm going on too much of a tangent again. It's because I just want you people to understand I'm not being overly optimistic. Overly optimistic would be telling you every single person is going to become a millionaire. It's not the truth. I know that. I'm always being realistic with you guys. Maybe because I'm a Dutch guy, I like to tell you the truth and the cold hard truth. If I think something is stupid, I'll tell you I think it's stupid. If I think it's going to make you money, I'll tell you I think it's going to make you money. XRP price predictions. Oh, could I have said something crazy in the past? Sure. What is my honest price prediction? I've been telling you guys that for the last year. There's nothing overly optimistic or crazy about it. I think every single part of it makes logical sense. If we were to tell you right now, I think XRP is going to 75,000 because of a new banking. I understand. That's crazy. Is it possible in any hypothetical scenario? Sure. But let's talk real. At the end of the day, I have no more time for fairy tales, for crazy hype stories. I want to talk with you guys about what I seriously think is going to happen, can happen, and what you guys should prepare for. And on that note, one thing I'm telling you guys to prepare for is multiple different crypto exchanges being charged. Period. It's going to happen. I think most exchanges will be hit at some point. The only thing is, none of them will be hit as hard as Binance. They were the biggest, most aggressive on marketing. And again, it's hard for somebody to convince me that they know better about what's about to happen next. That's not working with all these exchanges directly. That does not know the CEO of every one of these companies, or the regional director, or whatever. Most people claim to know, but they know jack shit. I'm telling you right now, I personally have money on Binance. I personally have money on Bybit. I personally have money on a lot of different exchanges. Why? Because they're useful. You might prefer liquidity on one exchange. You might have another reason because you want to buy specific altcoins on this exchange, that exchange. But the main exchanges, I think every single one of them will survive whatever fine is being thrown at them. Binance at the president now, though, and I think from the SEC side, from the Department of Justice's side, why not go after every single exchange now too, if you know there's a good chance they're just going to accept your fine? You know, it's billions of dollars we're talking about still in total. So I am warning you guys for that. Not a formal warning, as I don't know when it's going to happen. It could take another year. There's a very good chance that the next bull market, and this is what most of my investor friends were saying, is going to end the next bull market, which is why I explained to you guys more about a sell strategy for 2025 mostly, because I do believe that the institutions are going to come down hard on that then. So I do think it's going to take some time. But for the most part, for example, this whole Binance debacle, it's not news to anybody in the spheres. I'm gonna say that the estimations of the number were lower, but I don't think anybody's surprised that this happened, because every exchange knew. Every exchange was preparing for it. This whole Binance ordeal, that is. Even Binance themselves knew, obviously, right? I think only the number might be a little bit surprising still. But what's we've seen with Binance now, as long as they don't go completely bankrupt, it's gonna be fine. Matter of fact, even if they do end up going bankrupt, like FTX, it will be fine eventually. It's dip-ish. I mean, with FTX, it did put the market in a little bit of an awkward spot for a bit, but in reality of things, did FTX now crash crypto to a point at which it can never return to? No, because right now we're back at almost $40,000 per Bitcoin. We're going in the right direction. And a Binance crashing, hypothetically speaking, this is just putting the facts out there. It would be pretty bullish for crypto from the perspective that the biggest entity that a lot of the guys like BlackRock, JP Morgan, the SEC were afraid of because of their monopoly on things, right, is now gone. So even though I'm a big fan of Binance, I like them, and I think the position that they're in is pretty nice for liquidity purposes, etc., if they were to be gone, there could be many benefits to it, which ultimately might shine. And BlackRock guys like that could actually set some specific campaigns with either regards to marketing, meaning they put out messages of saying, this is so nice, this is the most amazing thing, but also in terms of actual buying power, going on a buying spree, going on a, client convincing spree, where all of a sudden they start seeding their investments harder, or their trackers harder, their trust causes the price to pump. Because at the end of the day, it's very beneficial for all these entities if Binance were to fall, just like it was beneficial for Binance if FTT were to fall, even though trust in the crypto space was lost when they did. I mean, if you look at Binance, they gained a lot of market share. But then again, I don't think all that's going to happen anytime soon. The only thing I'm watching for is the moment that Bitcoin basically flips. I put it over on Twitter a little bit earlier. Once this line breaks, this is Bitcoin's dominance. Altcoin season will officially start. So this is Bitcoin dominance over the last good while. And I told you guys before, and we've been saying this for so long, up to this point, we're extremely accurate with the way things are going. Bitcoin being strong first, eventually altcoins taking over, the usual cycle, yada, yada, yada. That's why I said anybody who's been into crypto for a year but is not in profit, I'm not sure what you've been doing, but that's besides the point. What's going to happen now, don't have a glass bowl, by the way, but this is probability-wise, is Bitcoin's market dominance continuing to grow for a little bit. Again, I can't tell you how long, but that's what seems logical. And the moment that it does flip, though, right? So the moment that this dominance, meaning the percentage of the market that's Bitcoin, goes below the trend, which has currently been, most likely a lot of big guys are going to pick that up as a sign that altcoins are now going to take over. As I said before, I personally am a very big fan of the idea that right now it's still Bitcoin's rally. Bitcoin is still king, but soon enough, it's going to change to altcoins being king. And that's just going to be I believe previous runs, just 40% on all these coins across the board every single day for a while. And right now, we're just not seeing that yet. I know there's some days where some coins go up a bit. No, I'm talking massive, massive, massive amounts of gains every single day. But yeah, if you're excited about crypto, make sure you press that like button. If there's a specific crypto you want me to look into, let me know in the comment section down below. I'm also going ahead and buying a ton of these top cryptos still. I bought some 𝗬𝗧. I'm gonna be honest with you here. I haven't really looked into the team, haven't really looked into anything. It's just a lot of my friends were buying 𝗬𝗧, so I thought, hey, you know what? Let me also get ahead of the curve a little bit, and instead of being a fool that's too late for everything, let me just buy some and then kind of see what it does later, and then perhaps increase my position as I dive deeper, understand more. I've been buying a ton of Chainlink, and no, I'm not pumping my own bags. I'm just telling you guys, Mantle is, in a lot of ways, kind of stupid to buy, but, and that's the thing, things like Mantle, and actually there's many of these, will become extremely valuable in the bull market. Oh, am I out of sync? Damn. That would be awful if I am. I'll just speak like this so you guys can't even see. I'll just go like this for now because I'm not sure if the camera is doing good. Anyway, coins like Mantle are going to be doing pretty amazing as the bull market picks up because I'm assuming it's going to work in a similar fashion where you need the token to be eligible for certain drops over on Bybit. Similarly to how BNB will do extremely well depending on how the rules on Binance change, where you need BNB to be eligible for these sales because all those sales on exchanges usually do just massive. Same thing for BitGet token. How much BitGet token do I hold? Almost nothing. This one, almost nothing because I kind of think they're all garbage if not for purely what you can do in a bull market to get yourself into the tokens listing on the platform. And you'll see, most likely, I'm predicting that right now, massive pumps whenever a launch like that comes along. So I'm kind of presuming already, and somebody can prove me right if this is the truth, that Mantle right now is doing so well because of something related to it. But it could also be because of just general excitement. Sometimes it also happens. Here it just says they just got integrated into Trust Wallet. Hey, nope. It says right here. Yep, there we go. Bybit has announced the launch of Cradles coin. Am I invested? No. Would I? Well, if I had the chance, I would, but nobody told me about it. I didn't see it. I mean, I could have checked Bybit, but I didn't. If you're onto Bybit, though, I always recommend looking into these things. Right now, it's not the perfect time in the market just quite yet, but basically, for these type of launches, usually you need the token, stake the token, or lock it up for a little bit. And very often, and I don't tell you about this too specifically, but the idea is that you trade the token around events like this. As you can see, the price moves pretty interestingly, perhaps around events like this. Usually the price goes up pretty massively in anticipation as people try to lock up, etc., and then drops as people don't need the token anymore. But yeah, that's something, again, we'll cover more as the market continues on. I just see now Bitcoin Grayscale filed another update of their Bitcoin spot ETF. I should do live streams instead of videos, huh? November's crypto hack wave, over $290 million lost to security breaches, but we already know that. CZ, Binance ex-CEO's Twitter got suspended for a bit. Well, it got restricted for a bit, but not that important. Ethereum's Layer 2 Blast received $335 million in lockups. Haven't used it yet, but it's worth trying out. And here it says as well that Binance's Bitcoin reserves are massively flowing into Coinbase. And then one more interesting one, I just saw this. The Austrian-based Raiffeisen Bank prepares to launch Bitcoin trading service. Yeah, I think we're going to see tons of that soon as well, right? All these banks are going to want in on the wave. I told you guys before, these banks, these financial providers, they're not looking for what fits their profile most. They're looking for what makes money. A bank is not a for fun entity or something like that. You think banks are based on the idea that, oh, they're trying to make your life better? No. There's a way to make money here. There's a way to benefit. And so, in theory, these guys are going after exactly what kills them. I mean, Bitcoin was designed to kind of mess the banking system up. Not literally, but they were kind of like the quote-unquote hedge. And these guys are being pretty bullish on it, pretty excited about it, and facilitating it. So they're basically like trading with their own death or offering their own death. Because if Bitcoin gets crazy amounts of adoption, that would kind of be the end of, these banks in the nature that we know them. Unless they adapt and they either start offering services that would allow fees on this sector, which again, they're doing, offering the trading service, because that means as they diminish in value as a traditional bank, they at least increase in value because of the fees, because of the service being provided, etc., etc. So from every single perspective, this makes sense. And is the main reason you see a lot of banks getting into all this right now, because it just makes sense. All right, but that's about it. Otherwise, we keep going again for another hour. I wanted to keep these videos like shorter, like 10 minutes, etc. But yeah. Who's still with me this far into the video? Let me know down below if you watched all the way through. And that's about it.